Audio Jungle.
So it ended. A tale that began with my own ill-fated attempt to rid the world of the Godwoken. Dallas the Hammer, the secret eternal, purged the Godwoken and used the Source to close the veil to the void. The world was saved. Statues in memory of the Godwoken who sacrificed their Source were erected all across Rivellon. They would never be forgotten. The half-demon Malady took pity on the soulless, God-woken silent monks and brought them to the Hall of Echoes. There, from the scraps of their souls that remained, she restored them to life. Sorcerers no more, they lived out the rest of their lives, freed of the burden of being the God-woken, freed from the weight of the world. As for me, I was already free, and so were the others. The God-woken sacrifice severed the bond between the Sworn and the God-King. To atone for my sins, I spent the rest of my days taking care of the sick and elderly, telling the story of the Godwoken, that the world may never forget the greatest heroes Rivellon had ever known.
Well, well, look what the cat dragged in. A silent monk. At least that's what you'd be if it weren't for Malady. She's Malady, the one and only. She is greater, I dare say, than we dare dream. Like I would about the return of the codpiece, that it's highly the man's a man, all too prone to the weaknesses of the heart. We've seen the results of his errors firsthand. Yes, well, that's all right, you made a point. Besides, Lucian. As for myself, I'm counting on a second chance as well. Well, well, look what the cat dragged in.
Malady stands tall and proud, sunlight sparkling off her mask.
Ah, there you are. Where did I go wrong? Ugh. I'd been counting on sacrificing my health and happiness for a future god, you know. Never mind.
She fingers the mask, covering her face.
We've come a long way together.
She looks you up and down.
I guess this will take a moment, why don't you? Relax, enjoy. I certainly plan to do the same. The same way I do everything, of course. Demonic. Oh, I don't know. Perhaps our paths will until we find out.
Beast brushes detritus from his beard, sand, skin, and whatever else might have accumulated there.
I never thought I'd be smelling the sea breeze again. Figured we'd all be shuffling around as silent monks right now, so the air seems extra sweet.
Beast's lips twitch, and his eyes...
What's the story you want? The beast of the sea rose triumphant, guiding his fellow Godwoken from an island prison to a final hurrah. Then began the process of... Guess that one doesn't really end with a bang.
A slight grin crosses the spirit's face. Whether...
You are a very, very, very lucky person. If Malady hadn't restored us, I'd be a drooling monstrosity, but a vengeful one. The realm is a lot more robust than some people give it credit for. It's probably survived much more than we'll ever even know. Get loot, play. So, Chief, I guess this is it, right? Well, I mean, you can always come with me, if you want, maybe? I still love you.
As she turns from you, the whites of her eyes darken. Suddenly, it's gone again.
See you around.
Ah, the betrayer.
Ifan folds his arms and steps back from you, as if your presence is toxic.
I suppose this is proof I've got really bad taste in friends, after all that we've been through since Fort Joy.
He fixes you with a steely gaze, eyes burnished and shining like pebbles of hatred.
Your thanks are as hollow as your promise. I intend to spend the remainder of my days seeking to undo what you have done. It may not be possible, but when did that ever stop me before?
Ifan pauses, as if about to say something else. Fane is reading a volume of Cranley Hubert's famous encyclopedia.
I see. Intriguing.
He glances up at you, big, empty eye sockets taking in every detail.
Well, well, there you are. Another fine specimen of your kind. A little leaner than when we first met, and a little less divine than you'd hoped, I imagine. As do I, it seems.
Fane looks back down to the book, a bony finger running across the embossed leather.
It could have been different, you know? I could have saved them. I could have found a way. I could have done more. Had they decided to live in peace with the mortals of Rivellon, maybe we could have... But they made their choices. And I... No. I imagine you can't. Or something. Then again, you are no average Rivellonian. So, what do you think you'll do, now that we live in a source-free world? Indeed. It seems we are all facing a brave new world.
The skeleton hefts Hubert's dog-eared encyclopedia, its weight heavy in his hand.
I've been rereading this book. It's shit.
Fane tosses the book over his shoulder.
If you have spent your life staring at a thing, you can write about it with knowledge. You creatures have spent your lives trudging about this world, and you've grown blind to its miracles. Take otters, for example. Or octopus. Octopuses? Regardless. The world is filled with absolutely incredible sights. And who better to catalogue them with the awe they deserve than someone seeing them for the first time? Do you know, there is the idea that nothing is ever truly created, or just... I suppose we are all Source, just in different form. But my people were Source too, although we didn't know it at the time. In a way, I was walking alongside the best version of them the entire... In you, I found a home better than the one I was pining for.
It gives me almost as much pleasure to speak to you as it does to be whole again. I will always be an ally to those that carry Source, to those whose blood is of the heroes of old. I am at the ready.
You look out to the endless beyond, and with a start, you realize where you must go next. At last, the world was at peace. The ancient Lizard Empire opened its gates. The houses disbanded, and the Empire adopted a pluralist quasi-democracy. Anyone could vote for whoever they pleased, as long as the House of Shadows approved. Justinia returns to her throne. Under her rule, the Dwarven kingdom prospered, until 2 years later, a jealous lover stabbed her in the heart with a mutton fork. Lucian made amends to the elves. He gave them lands and vast riches from the coffers of the old divine order. But the elves never forgave him. They would not trust humans again. And in a dark forest on the far side of a desert, well beyond the high seas, the Black Ring came together once more. The island of Fort Joy, the old redoute of the Source King Brachus Rex, was turned over to the people of Driftwood to use as they wished. They turned it into a holiday resort. Reaper's Coast prospered. The fisheries returned, and the fertile farmlands produced the greatest harvests the surviving farmers had ever seen. Blood Moon Island became particularly fecund, its soil producing the greatest crops. A particularly crimson-fleshed orange grown on the island became a delicacy across half the world. The Black Pit took fire. The oil there burns still. Driftwood became a centre of industry, trade and transport. Lohar the dwarf became mayor. His time in office was cut short by an unfortunate wound that spontaneously appeared on his neck. The nameless isle had vanished. Although only open water remained, by instinct ships would steer clear. None of the captains could articulate why. Sir Gareth thanked the surviving Seekers for their service and gave them their freedom. Disillusioned with peace, he set out alone to find a new purpose. He would never stop seeking. Young Han went into the theatre and became one of the realm's most popular actors. With no new divine, Malady found herself in a predicament. She had an important problem to solve, but no ally strong enough to call upon, and so her search continued. Having performed the greatest act of necromancy in history, Tarquin found the new world unchallenging. He became obsessed with rumors of another plane of existence. One day he vanished and was never seen again. Ahu the wizard became one of Lucian's most trusted advisors once more. He always knew that something had changed in the divine. He never discovered what that was, or if he did, he never said a word. With Amadia silent, the priestess Gratiana left the swamps and re-entered the world. She founded an abbey in the Dragonspine Mountains, offering the last of the undead shelter from fortune hunters, novelty seekers, and ghouls. Jehan the demon hunter found himself at a loose end, so he opened a museum of demonic artifacts. He made a fortune. With Lucian in power, Sahala took the elves away from the world. They grew strong once more, amidst the trees of the regrown home forest. Only the new mother kept Sahala's plans for revenge from fruition. But the mother had a secret weapon. Tova, Sahala's mother, keeps Sahala's anger at bay. Lucian returned as divine, united the races, and became Lord Emperor of all Rivellon. Only Dallis knew that he was entirely powerless. Dallis and you. The Eternal, now known as Dallis, was a secret advisor to Lucian and to his successors. For eons she would walk in the world, and would outlive the peoples and all, and wander alone amongst the dying stars. The Beast of the Sea returned to the Dwarven Kingdom, not as a rebel, but as a lawmaker. Merciful and wise, he led the dwarves into an age of prosperity. His grave looks out over the sea. His run-in with his daughter set Fane on a new path. He travelled Rivellon, recording the wonders he discovered, but always kept a socket peeled for signs of the Eternals. He hoped to find the wife he'd lost, but he never did. Then again, he's still looking. With a small band of elves, Ifan Ben Mezd replanted the lost elven forests. After the first fresh shoots broke the earth, he disappeared and was never seen again. Some say Afrit, his soul wolf, walks the forests still. The Red Prince came home a hero. With Sada, he had more dragons. Soon, Prince became emperor, one who would not use his dragons for conquest. His realm knew peace, and the world did not burn. Lohse returned to her music and enjoyed a storied career as Rivellon's premier musician. Dark moods would at times overtake her, and she would spend long hours walking in the wilds. She always returned with a new song. And then there was you. In a world of peace, you could live forever. Your future was yours to decide. But you were a sorcerer no more. Did you accept your new status with gratitude, or did you rebel? Only you know the truth, you and one other. But of him you are free. The God King no longer calls your name. He no longer whispers your shame. Only you know if you atone for your sins.